Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we discuss my thoughts on episode 11 of the anime series恋wa Ameagari noように, or Love is Like After the Rain. And both Chihiro and Haruka are once again coming to the fore in this episode in a means of trying to both, inspire and reach their respective friends in Kondo and Tachibana. And it's with very varied, mixed results. But it's no less interesting because, this is the first time where I'm sort of looking at what, Haruka's perspective is in a sort of devil's advocate light. She kind of comes across in this episode as saying, the only way we have a friendship is through running. Running was how we came together, and that's really the only thing that is going to keep us together. In a sense, she's kind of giving Tachibana this ultimatum, like, come back to running or we can't be friends, or at least that's how she's reacting to all of this. It's kind of one of those things where I feel like Tachibana, for her part, she understands and knows what she wants. She has an idea, trying to grow closer and closer and closer to Kondo, work as many days as she can in his restaurant, be as near to him as she can be, and all this kind of stuff. And it is arguable, for her age, is it a puppy love thing? Is it a phase thing? I think we've seen that there's more to it. It goes much deeper than just a sort of cursory thing, But I do think that, people are everyone around her is not necessarily taking it seriously. From Kondo to Haruka to everyone else who's found out, anyone who's had that inkling, they're kind of like, seriously? You like the old guy? And even Kondo himself is like, you like me? Why? Whereas it's interesting because of the parallel there, the dichotomy in both of their characterizations, because of course Kondo is much more receptive to the message that Chihiro is trying to impart. The idea that he, out of everyone else, he still has faith in his buddy, like, get back to writing. You still have a passion for it. I know you're still writing. I know you're still reading. I know you still have this passion. It's an obsession. It's something you're never going to be rid of. And you kind of just need to get over that hurdle, that self-imposed hurdle of like doubt and guilt and remorse and thinking, the only way I can be successful is if I recapture my youth on the page, the feeling, the essence, how I was, the mindset within which I was encapsulated back when that passion was really going, when that fiery forge was burning and then some. And you can still, even at this age, you can still tap into it. Look at me. I've had success. It's not like I had success as soon as we parted ways, Now Chihiro's book is going to be made into a movie, and it's something tantamount to him. He is, very critical about it in his awareness, the idea that, now the carpet sort of gets dragged out from under him and him along with it. Because now there's a reputation that's involved. Now there are expectations, whether that's fandom, whether that's, critics, whether whatever, whether they love him or hate him. He has to keep this level of stoicism, this facade, keeping up appearances. And he's overwhelmed by even just the thought of it. It hasn't even happened yet, but it's coming. This is going to be a movie. My name is going to be synonymous with it, and I'm going to have interviews and answer questions. And for him, I think there's a level of, he realizes his former anonymity is soon to be gone, and it's hellish to him. Kind of like stories about Michael Jackson. He was plagued with this idea of not being able to go out in the world and not be immediately recognized. The idea of fame and that idolation, and it's a blessing and a curse depending on your perspective on it. So the dichotomy within the dichotomy kind of thing is fairly intriguing there, in that Chihiro, he's very much looking upon Kondo as being this sort of virginal version of himself, what he once was, and yet he's singing the praises of Kondo. He wants to support him, and he wants him to tap into that passion again. And in Kondo's case, unlike Tachibana, with Haruka's persuasions and trying to suggest that she recapture her past and get back to the running, where Tachibana wants no part of that, Kondo is very much beginning to process these inklings, these ideas, these concepts of, hey, I actually might still have a chance. Maybe if I keep at it, maybe if I continue writing, if I continue practicing, maybe it's still something I can grapple onto. Whereas, as I say, Tachibana is much less reciprocative to the idea that Haruka is putting forth. And even Kondo, he forgets his folder of information. He's going to a head office meeting. He forgets it. He comes back and he encounters Haruka, confronting Tachibana for all intents and purposes. She had run into her on the streets, the rainy streets, and I guess the rain was so loud that Tachibana did not hear her. I didn't think for a minute that she was, purposely ignoring Haruka, just that she was oblivious, she didn't hear her. And this really motivates Haruka, especially as spurred on by the fact that one of their school rivals, might get a better time than was established by Tachibana in the past and everything. So Haruka, she's got all this pent up frustration and sadness, and she knows now, because this particular runner had the same injury Tachibana had, that 2 years previously she was able to get over it. She's back at running, and she's running really fast, as per the whole point about her beating Tachibana's time and whatever like that. And so, she's incredulous. She's like, what is wrong with you? Come back to the running. The running is our friendship. This is our bond. And I just think, again, playing devil's advocate, whereas I was very much feeling for where Haruka was coming from in previous episodes, I just feel like she's being a little callous. Your friendship can go beyond track running. If it's something Tachibana legitimately feels as though she doesn't want to pursue anymore, if she knows what she wants, if she's actively pursuing the thing that she wants, and running does not mean to her as much as it once did, you can't force her hand. It's not fair. It's not fair to put your expectations upon her, whether you're her parents, whether you're her siblings, whether you're her friends or co-workers, whatever. You can voice those concerns, and I'm glad to a point that Haruka did. I'm glad she tried to re-extend that olive branch all over again, try to make amends with Tachibana. And it's just sort of her not wanting to take no for an answer that's keeping them divisive, keeping them apart. And I don't think she even realizes it. It's just she cares for her friend, and she thinks that Tachibana still holds this, this track running as the epitome, as the thing that was lost. And I myself, as a viewer not being familiar with the source material or anything like that, it was intriguing to me, the idea that I thought she had lost this ability, and it was still something she harbored a want for. And maybe she did, but it's not enough for her to focus herself on going and getting the rehabilitation and taking it up again. She has her sights elsewhere, and she's a young woman, soon to be a young adult, and you have to give her a certain amount of allowance, a certain amount of credence for making up her own mind as to what she wants. If she wants to pursue Kondo in this manner, in this way, there's only so much you can do. You either support her and you stay friends with her, or you make the choice to break it off and move on. And so, the conflict it's a real shame. I want to see them come back together, Haruka and Tachibana respectively. And I would like, I do think there is some estimation of Tachibana maybe warbling up in her mind exactly what her focus ought to be on. Maybe she's not being necessarily 100%, truthful with herself. But the way she is so giddy and happy about, oh, I'm going to submit my how many days a week I can work, and it's every frickin' day of the week practically. And it makes her giddy, and she blushes and she smiles because this is so much more time I'll spend with Kondo. There's something to that. You can't just write it off as being, you don't know how you really feel. You're too young to really understand how you feel, and that your feelings are temporary. And, making that kind of a judgment call, it's not fair. It's not fair to implant your own expectations on someone else. And so, again, as I say, while it is a shame that they are drifting apart, Kondo made the point that he and Chihiro had drifted apart in the past, and they've found each other again. And maybe some time alone, away from each other, needs to pass between Haruka and Tachibana before they will make amends, before Haruka will have the time enough to understand that we don't have to be running to have a friendship, and but at the same time, there is something to be said for Tachibana's focus being solely on Kondo, and there's more to life than that. Anyone who gets into a long-term relationship, there is so much of your time that's about that other person. You might die for that person, but at the same time, you have separate lives. You still pursue separate things, and it's not going to be 24/7 ad nauseum, ad infinitum, that you're going to be with them, every waking hour of every day. You're still going to have a life, And there is some aspect of that Tachibana needs to get in touch with to realize that she can sort of have her cake and eat it too. If Kondo is reciprocative, if he returns the love and the infatuation and whatever like that, if that'll ever happen, or his friendship, whatever she can take away from him, whatever she can be reciprocated from him, that is just one part of her life, and there's more to her life. There's more than just that. Then maybe she can be motivated to break bread with Haruka and answer to Haruka's want and her frustrations and her her incredulity. And why, Tachibana? Why don't you want to run? Why don't you want the rehabilitation? Where did the passion for this go? People grow, people evolve, people change, and it's not something I feel like I can bet the farm on as to whether Tachibana really truly has a clear definition of what it is she wants, and that's the end all be all for her, and she's got it figured out. I don't necessarily know. I don't think you ever, no matter what your age, have things completely, totally figured out. There is some level of living life that is on a whim, and devil may care, and whatever happens, happens, as Spike Spiegel once said. And so it remains to be seen. It'll be interesting to see how this all draws to a close. Whereas I once felt like I really wanted to see Kondo and Tachibana coming together in some sort of romantic fashion, I don't feel like I need that, as long as they kind of come to an equilibrium between them both, where, maybe they will, maybe they won't, but for now, this thing, this friendship, this relationship that we have is enough. And if Tachibana is motivated to sort of tap into that awareness, I would then, as an extension of that, love to see she and Haruka making amends and being friendly again, and leave off with this estimation of hope that we don't need the running. We're just as good as friends as we ever were, even without it. But then again, maybe she'll pursue it. Maybe, it's like I said in my previous episode discussion video, maybe Tachibana needs to find the running again for herself, not as part of a dutiful responsibility to a school or to a track team or to her friends, just for herself, to get back in touch with that passion, much as Chihiro has motivated Kondo to tap back into that passion of writing and wanting to be an author, you know. So altogether, this was another fantastic episode. And I was really marveling while watching it, you know, the just gorgeous visuals. You know, you have Tachibana going and pushing in a chair in the restaurant just before Haruka comes in, and I'm looking at all the meticulous, beautiful glow of the inner workings of the restaurant down to the wood panel floor. It's just like, it's dripping with beauty. Everything about, you know, the close-ups on the eyes and the faces. And then Chihiro with his, like, I didn't know what it was, you know. Is it an Austin Powers style penis pump? Is it like a science experiment thing? Like, you know, oh, it's a coffee maker. I don't drink coffee anyway. And this was not your typical everyday coffee maker anyway in design. And I love how he does little check, you know, I ordered this online and I got the coffee beans online. And Kondo's like, oh, you got everything online. He's like, I buy everything online. You know, so I love the relationships. I love the characterizations. I love the dynamics. I love the voice acting, the visuals. Again, meticulous and gorgeous, just beautiful. Even down to the scoring in the episode. Some of the music of which reminded me of Akagami no Shirayuki Hime, or Snow White with the Red Hair, and just this really, you know, heartwarming sense about it, the music, everything, you know, the beautiful animation and characterization. And so yeah, love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 11 of Koi wa Ameagari no yo ni, or Love is Like After the Rain. If you've seen it as well, if you enjoyed it as much as I did, any insights, further discussion you have on you know, thoughts on Haruka and Tachibana's relationships, Kondo's and Chihiro's. Do you agree with me that, you know, both of their friends are trying to sort of reach them and be supportive in a manner of speaking, but that it's working far more for one than the other, and such like that? And any other, you know, things you wanted to bring up that I might have missed or whatever like that. But yeah, again, I can't wait to see how this is all going to round out as we approach the finale. And otherwise, it'll be pretty much it for me on this. If this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.